Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. I guess I do probably have to do like some fancy stuff right here. My name's Jennie Stone. This is what is it? Meditative Musings podcast. And today I have Erin Fonoti with me. So excited. She is just a genius in her work. She's a master. She's very humble about it and she'll say she doesn't do anything. She does quantum healing hypnosis technique with a myriad of other really cool things. Access bars is another new one that you just got. I got to experience that as well. A yoga teacher, entrepreneur, homeschool mom, wife. I mean, there's a lot of titles that you got.
Yeah. When you say it like that, it's true.
It is true.
It's a little overwhelming actually when you say it, when you lay it out like that. Yeah.
Why is it overwhelming?
I guess it just feels overwhelming right now. Sometimes when like, I don't know, the energy's a little thick and it feels kind of like moving through mud. And so with all those titles, they don't really feel like badges of honor at the moment. They kind of feel like weights. I
Mm,
don't know. Weird.
responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I've been really sitting with lately. I feel this weird urgency and sense of responsibility because of what I do feel like I know and what has personally just helped me in my life. And, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm doing everything I think I know how to do. Like, what else is there to do? You know,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing it. But I can feel that like heaviness too. Like and I'm like, how much of that do you think was the election?
Oh, probably. Well, I don't know how much is the election and how much is the energy influencing the election. You know what I mean? Like, it's a chicken and an egg thing. Like, is what's coming of all this stuff causing the energy, or is the energy what's causing everything else?
Oh, that is a good one. Yes, and huh?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, does it even matter? Like,
I know. Well, I mean, to a point, it's like, yes, it's got to matter because if you can figure out what comes first, then we can like fix it. You know what I mean? Like we can get a new cock to fertilize these eggs or something. Like, I don't know where the metaphor is going,
I
but
don't either.
it's like that's always my thought process is like, okay, what is the one thing? And like you asked this question to me at our last session about this, like I had a list of all these questions and it was like, okay, well, what's the like one question if we ask this one question would have the most impact on all the other things, like this domino
Mm,
effect. And that's been something I've been going, okay, yeah, what's the one thing that if I did right now would have the most impact on everything? Um, but it can feel heavy too.
yeah,
It,
yeah, it definitely can. Oh, I don't know. Like when you think of like the one thing that's going to make the biggest impact, question or activity or belief, um, it feels to me like it's hard to pinpoint it down. It's hard to say, oh, it's this one thing because this thing affects this and this and this, or maybe there's all these other things that come first before that can even be addressed. And we're talking kind of abstractly here, which might be a little hard to understand, I guess. But yeah. But what is the one thing? What is the one thing you could do right now, Jennie, that would impact your life the biggest?
mm, that is a big question. I'm gonna ask you the same question, BT Dubs. So,
Okay.
uh, damn, the one thing. Okay, we're gonna get real and vulnerable here. Um, I'm in a really weird place right now. And you know some of this, and it was building before the session we had, and then the session like really like shone a spotlight on it. Just to back up for anybody that's listening and wants to know what the heck we're talking about. So Erin does quantum healing hypnosis technique, which is past life regression. Doreen Virtue, right? Is
Say
it
that again, last part.
Doreen Virtue?
No, Dolores Cannon.
Dolores Cannon. I always get those two mixed up. Okay, so Dolores Cannon, her beautiful technique of going back in and taking you to connect with past lives. I've had two sessions with Erin. The first one, it was actually your very first session on somebody. So that was super fun to get to experience. And then it's been a year, right? Has it been a full year?
It's been just over a year.
Just over a year. I got to do
Yeah.
another one, and she's done multiple since then. She's had a year of practice. And so I was really excited to see what was different, how, how it was going to be. And the first one I left like so motivated and energized. And this last one, like, it
Yeah.
was very emotional. It was very emotional. And then because there's been within me this building of something, I don't even know if I can put a label on it, but it's been this like dissatisfaction, like contentment. I'm not discontent. I'm really content, but there's an underlying, I mean, like that sense of urgency is part of it. Like you got to go and do something, but I'm also doing all the things I know I'm supposed to be doing. So it's this really weird thing. And it's like, I feel like I need this thing, I don't know what it is, but I need this thing. And I can't find the thing. And I can't, no matter what I try, no matter, this was part of my talk at Yet on Fire too, was that like, no matter like all of the tools that I use, I can't find the combination to find the thing that I think I'm looking for, but I know it exists already within me and it's everywhere. But I can't quite grasp it. It's like I've tried, every combination of, meditation, mantra, mudra, breath work, essential oils, plant medicine, affirmations, drumming, like whatever. I've tried to combine them all in these different combinations to find this thing that I can't even quite put my finger on because it exists everywhere. And I, you know, um, after your session, I came home and I saw this book by our pyramid, Ram Dass, Remember, Be Here Now. And I've read it multiple times. I love to use it as like an oracle and just flip to a page. But I was like, I think I need to read it like from the very beginning and, to the end.
Mhm.
And have you read this? Have you
I
read
haven't
it?
read the whole thing. I've tried. I don't know why I couldn't get through
Yeah.
it.
Well,
It's a
especially
tricky
when it
one.
gets to these like
Yeah.
artsy pages. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, why am I reading it? And then I just kind of laugh and I can almost hear Ram Dass's giggle. Like, it doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter. It's like however you read it's how you read it. But like what he went through before, he became Ram Dass, and he was just like, I had all of the things. And like what was his name? Rupert? Rupert. Anyway, like he had all the things. He had the professor degree. He had speaking gigs. He had all these accolades. And I'm like, yeah, I've been to Bali and Costa Rica, and I've done the immersions and workshops and trainings, and I've spoken on stage, and I've done all of these things. And it's kind of like, I feel really privileged saying this, but like I'm bored. Like I'm bored.
Hmm.
I can't get excited about anything. Like it's all the same. Like no matter what I've done, it's always been the same. And like there's this big buildup and then but it's always the same. And I'm like, I'm just experiencing the same thing, just in a different place or a different way. And I'm like, this is it. Like this is all there is.
Mm.
It's really, really interesting. Um, so I don't I honestly, I feel like I've tried all of the things. Like, what is the next one thing that will make the biggest impact in my life? Like, well, I mean, I have a solid meditation practice. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I have, like, my work is really beautiful and it feels, like it's soul led and it's soul purpose. Like my relationship with my kids and my spouse and my friends. And like, I feel like everything's great. And I'm doing all of the things. So why the discontentment? Why that, like, it's not enough. It's not enough. But what else is there? That's where I am. So it's not
Yeah.
an answer, but it's an answer.
Not an answer. Does it feel like discontentment or like, I mean, yes, and maybe does it feel unsettled? Like,
Yeah, there's a lot, right? There's this like I feel antsy, angsty. Um, I never feel quite like I'm doing enough.
mhm,
And I know I've been really practicing deconditioning from the whole please perform, perfect, produce to prove my worth, right? Like all of those fucking P's that I was, mind your P's and Q's, be prom and what is prim and proper, all those stupid things. Like I'm just like learning to decondition from those and be like, Jennie is enough, whatever Jennie does is enough because Jennie is enough. Because I like, so I told you I'm working with Eric Godsey and his
mhm,
Dharma Artist Collective. And in there, this question that I asked around the fire the other night, in his journaling course. And I ask everybody this question. And I just asked it to a couple of friends at the hot springs yesterday because this one took me days to sit with and finally just write whatever comes down. You can't fuck it up. And it was really powerful what showed up. But the question is day 21. Okay. So this is how Eric Godsey phrases it. What if your life is a question God is asking eternity? I think it was Alan Watts that first seeded this question in my psyche, that each of us are a new question God is asking itself. I love the idea that we, through the way we choose to live our life, is answering a question God doesn't know. What does a human being
mm,
in this time, with this body, and these experiences do? How do they live? What do they create? How do they dance, love, and endure? If your life was the answer to God's question, what would you want to say with your behavior? How would you
mhm.
want to live? Who would you want to become?
Yeah.
So, this huge question has been sitting in my psyche for weeks now. And there's just this like, what I ended up coming to is well, I would want to like give my all. I would want to see what is Jennie capable of. Like what is the full potential of Jennie? How does Jennie like if there was like a God, um, because God is whatever God is, but like let's say it's a man in heaven, and I go to heaven, the pearly gates, and God's like, "Ooh, you answered all my questions so good." I want to just show up and be like, "I did it. I really answered the question that you had. Like, and here's what I found. Here's all of the cool answers." My current belief is that we really are all God. Like we
Mhm.
are a part of that consciousness. God wanted to know what it was like to experience being a Jennie, an Erin, a Jerry, whatever. And so literally whatever I do, I can't fuck it up because the God wants to know what it's like to be a Jennie in all scenarios.
Yeah.
But there's also this like still this desire to like prove myself to this external being that doesn't exist because it's me and you and everything and everyone. Like,
Mhm.
so it's all of these things. It's fear of not being good enough And so there, I still feel like I need to prove myself. And I prove myself by performing because I'm a really good performer. I can put on a really good show, or producing something, making something really awesome. Look what I did. Um, or just like helping. Let me help. Let me help. Let me solve a problem. I'm really good at solving problems. Like I have built my worth around that. And if I am not any of those things and all of those things, I don't know, I'm just swimming here.
Yeah.
Tell me your thoughts or ask questions or whatever, because I always love your reflections of my crazy madness.
Okay, let's see what was coming up for me. I think with the discontentment, going back just a little bit, going back to the discontentment or this unsettled feeling, I honestly think that because I feel that too. Like I get moments of clarity and I get moments of this is the right path for me right now. The QHHT thing definitely felt like that for a while, and I'm going to be completely honest and vulnerable too, is I've had a rough week with it to the point where like um well, I'll come back to that story here in a second. But I think that there is a we're in weird times collectively, not just because it's the election, not because it's the so there's, you're well aware there's a shift happening collectively. The earth is, people are saying she is ascending. There's all kinds of weird things, but the sun is giving off all kinds of new energy all the time. It's like massive, constantly. Solar flares every day, which is, I don't remember what I heard. It's the most activity the sun has given off in this solar cycle, but I don't know how long the solar cycle is. And then we're also moving through space at a place of a proton belt that happens like every 65,000 years. So we're getting these new protons or whatever they are from space. And our country is going to go through something big.
Mhm.
But then like more than half of the world is also going through like massive elections and changing the direction. So I think there is something about there's just an unsettled energy about that our human bodies were receptors to that. Like if we, our bodies being not just the vehicle that we move through life, but their own miraculous tools and have their own abilities to sense things that are outside of our perceived senses, our five senses, or even the six senses. Like we don't know what other senses are beyond that and what we're getting more of now because of all these different things. So just speaking to that feeling of unsettledness, I think is because we're moving into a time that's unprecedented in human history. Like we have no idea what's happening and our bodies are changing. If moving into, we're getting even closer to what was it, 2027 for the 55th gene key and
Yeah,
like the actual mutation that the human body will go through. Like
yeah,
that's real close. That's
yeah.
like 2 years away now. So who
Dude,
knows what's happening?
dude, I forgot about that. I was listening to a Robert Grant podcast the other day, and he was talking about 2027 in some mathematical formula because he's like the math
Mm,
genius guy.
yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, I forgot about that. Um, yeah. And how many people are still recovering from COVID?
Yeah.
I mean, we shut everything down, not just physiologically, this new virus that came into us, which
Mhm.
viruses are upgrades
Right.
too, by the way. So that's super cool. But like economically speaking, we're in a really weird time since that. Like there's people still trying to, oh man, that's crazy. The other day Jerry reminded me, he was like, how much of this is yours? And I was like, oh my God, only 7%. And I like visibly was like, oh, I like literally felt this physical weight drop off of me. And that's, if I could just, I need to have that plastered all over my house. Is this yours? And
Is
like,
it
I mean, not just like for the socks and the dirty dishes and laundry, but
now? Mhm.
like, is this emotion yours? Is this fear yours? Is this?
Yeah. So there's actually an app, Jenny, you can download because is this yours? Who does this belong to? Is access consciousness. It's a whole thing I've talked to you about a lot, and that's where the bars come from. But there's an app you can download, and I'll have to find it and send it to you. But it like you can set it up so like every 7 minutes or something, it dings and it says, who does this belong to? So you have to check in. And you
Whoa.
can set it up to like however often you want it to do that. But it's a
That's
great tool. And it just and the chime it has is really nice. So it's like, oh, is this mine? No. Let it go. Return to sender. Yeah.
like
So it's
Pavlov's
cool.
dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mental
Because
training.
the chime it sounds like those little chimey like Indian chimes. I
Little
think that's what it
tincture
sounds.
bells.
Yeah.
Mine are upstairs. They used to be right there. I was like, oh, I'll grab. They're upstairs.
Hmm. Um, so maybe before we get into it, as I said, I was going to tell you a story of why I've been struggling with what I do. It's so freaking interesting. I'll just do a little brief QHHT overview
Yeah.
for anybody listening. So quantum healing hypnosis technique was developed, like you said, by Dolores Cannon. And Dolores Cannon, she has a whole long history, which I won't get into. If anybody's interested, she tells it way better than I would. So, um, essentially, though, it was developed because she was just really interested, and there was people who were showing up, and they were having accounts of stories beyond like what she could like make sense of. So she just really dove into it. And the best part about QHHT is it's not just a past life regression, because you could, there's many different techniques out there that do past life regression. But the highlight with QHHT is that it actually goes into your subconscious mind or your higher self after. So we review. Essentially, you actually come to the session with 10 questions, 10 to 15 questions. And Jennie alluded to this earlier, 10 to 15 questions, and then we go through them so I can really understand what you're asking and why you're asking it and make sure that I get the full context and we can dive a little deeper or uncover what the true intention there is. And then we go into it, and I'm working on a way, and I don't know if it's working yet, but to connect to a life, like setting an intention so that we can then visit whatever life is going to best serve the answers to what you are asking now, or if there's any relation between that life and this life. I mean, there's always relation, but I don't know. Do you set intention to do that? Do you think it worked?
I do actually, because was I the first one that you tried this on?
Maybe my second one, but you're the first one I've asked if you think it worked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we set that intention before going in, and I really do feel like I'm still on the fence of whether it's a past life or a part, and I think they're both. And anyway, we can talk more about that later. But this part of me that I think could has been really rejecting and rebelling and resisting the work. And I think also if I tapped into her energy a little bit more, she could help me with the parts that I'm struggling with.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
I really do feel like we got what we were looking for, like the
Good.
intention.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's great. So I do it a little different than a normal practitioner because I use Opus Sound Bed, which we did a theta session. Theta is the brainwave that we're working into for the hypnosis. Um and so the sound bed kind of puts your body, it's a very experiential sense of that brainwave. And then we dive right in and we go through a past life. Typically it's, we go into a past life and go through 3 or 4 different spots within that life that are highlights or big events. And then we come to the other side of the life, the spirit side, and do a little bit of a review. And then we ask to speak to the subconscious. It doesn't always work. But typically it does, and we get to go and talk to that part of the person who's connected to source. And this is really cool because it really depends on the allowance of the person, of the person laying on the table. I've had people who can really drop in and the tone of voice changes and the way they speak changes and the words they use is different. They're embodying a different, I don't want to say entity, but a different aspect for sure. And then the information that comes through is pure gold. It's from God. It's amazing. Um, and we can gain so much insight that way. And even the energy can shift. Like you let it come through a little bit. There was a couple of spots where even you said like you could feel the energy shift and your tone changed and the cadence of your speech changed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was brief though.
It was.
And and that's, everybody's different and it really all just depends on where you're at and what you're ready for and what you're willing to, and not even you as a choice, but like what your body and state maybe is willing to allow to come through. So that's kind of the brief overview. There's been miraculous healings with this technique. I had somebody, she's been to me twice now in a very short window, and she was born with a club foot and had all the surgeries to correct it and everything. But ever since she was, little, she's had a really bad hip pain. And when we were in with the subconscious, we were able to dive into the hip and like look at it and what is the energy that's there. And she described it to me what it was. And then her higher self pulled it out and watched it go. And I mean, it's beautiful because I get to watch this with people as they describe it to me. I'm a very visual person, so I could see it happening. And then it was just and this was on our first session with me. And um, it said that if the body feels this anymore, if it ever comes up again, it's an indication for her to remember to love herself. So if it's there, it's only to remind her to love on herself. It was really sweet.
Wow.
When she came back to me, she's like, it's really helped. Like I barely feel it. And when I do feel it, it just reminds me to love myself. And I was just like, that's amazing. Like,
Wow.
yeah. So something that's like crippling somebody is able to just be taken away like that. And that's just one example. I haven't had anybody like cure themselves of tumors or anything yet, but there's been accounts of it. It just goes to show you the power of the subconscious mind over the body.
Yeah. It's wild. Oh man. Okay. So that voice change is really, really fascinating to me. I
Mhm.
want to know, like, what's the most drastic voice change you've heard?
Um, so there's somebody that stands out in my mind, and he was a man who came um last month when I was really diving into it. And it was just so like his voice didn't actually change, because our voices are kind of limited to what they are. But they're like, because I have a recording, I send the recording, but when I'm editing the recording, you can see like the lines of sound waves or whatever. And there was a distinct, like I could see like this is when he was talking through his past life, and it was all very like quick together and high, like all lines were really high. And then when we were talking to the higher self, it was very slow and very low and not quiet, but deep.
Mm.
He was speaking, he was using words like you humans. And yeah, it was really cool. He's like, and referring most of what he was talking about was referring to the collective of people, not him, not what his experiences were, but like broadcast of you humans need to know whatever. And I can't recall. I need to get everything transcribed so it's easier to go back and look through it. But it was really interesting. And the energy of the room changed. Like, and it's hard to explain how the energy or what that feels like, but yeah, it was a palpable difference. I think if anybody walked into the room, they would feel it. It literally feels like I'm sitting at the foot of God sometimes. Like it's just complete reverence. It's amazing.
Man,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Yeah, because I did notice the times when I was not controlling with my conscious mind, which apparently I do often.
Mhm.
um, it was much lower. It was quieter.
Mhm.
And it was slower too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like there were more pauses and interesting. Interesting. Jerry said that he remembers his voice going different too when his subconscious answered.
I wish I would have got his. There was so much background noise with music and stuff, and he was quiet.
Yeah,
The recorder didn't really pick him up, sadly. But um, yeah, it's really cool.
that's That's nuts. So one of the things that kind of threw me, and your answer was just not even your answer, but how you guided me through it was really beautiful. I was this Italian woman during World War II. This was my second life. No, this is my second life on Earth. That was my first. That's right.
Yeah.
That was my first life on Earth. And we went to an important day, and it was my daughter's wedding, but it was my mom. And I just like couldn't, my brain like just stopped functioning. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, my mom is a baby boomer, but her mom's not Italian. We're living in Italy. And you're just like, oh, this just could be a different, dimension or timeline, and I'm just like, it broke my brain. And I believe in those things, but like, wait a minute, because I have felt before that my mom has been my daughter.
Mhm.
I do feel that connection with my mom. I've felt that like in this lifetime. I just have this connection with my mom, and it's just even before I believed in reincarnation or past lives or anything like that. I was just like, my mom and I have a different relationship than everybody else, that I do with everybody else in my family. And she was my daughter, but that I had a hard time coming back from that. My
Yeah.
brain, I had a hard time letting go of my conscious brain from that point.
Hmm. Yeah. The conscious mind is so interesting because I mean, it's its job to make sure that you're safe and keep you like be aware of all things at all times. And so it's really hard to let go of, especially if you tend to be controlling. And
Which is not me, Erin. I don't control anything. I am so easy and go with the flow.
um, yep, yep, yep. No, but really it's difficult for anybody to let that part go. And it's so analytical. It has to understand why and how and so it's a challenge for anybody. Well, almost anybody to let that part go. And when you have something pop up, like you were witnessing your daughter's wedding and what you were seeing was images of your mom's wedding, like that's confusing. That the brain is going to go "Rrr," like, you know, and it did come out to be that your mom was your mom in this life was your daughter in that life. And so you made that soul connection. And that those images were what was being brought to you because it's how you connected to it in this life. Um, but after, so we were witnessing that and you were struggling to let that go. And then we went back, like back in time within that life, to kind of reorient yourself. Did that help?
I think so. I don't remember doing that.
Oh, okay.
I remember the lake and the dragon and the burning woman next. But
Interesting. So you don't remember. So what we did, and I can't recall exactly where we went, but we were at your daughter's wedding and you got all like tripped up over your mom. And so I said, let's let time go backwards so we can reorient yourself and let go of that. Um, I wish I could remember now where we went, but I don't. And then we didn't even go back to your wedding or to her wedding. We went forward to another time.
yeah.
I think it was the kids were going away, like your kids' families were going away to, you thought it was a vacation, but it felt kind of permanent, like you weren't going to see them again.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like school or career, but they were just going to check it out, but it was like I knew they weren't coming.
Hmm. Yeah,
So, yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, it's those those things are okay. So you said something, and this kind of brings up the parts work again, because you did say, like, I have had this feeling in life that my mom has been like, we've had a mother-daughter relationship in the past, but it was switched. And so here's the chicken and the egg again. Did my conscious, like imprint that on the subconscious? Like, which way does it go? The conscious, subconscious, which imprints what influences where? You know what I mean? Like, did I create that past life? Like, this was one of the questions I asked you. And so I'll ask you here because you've had some time to think about it now. Does how do I phrase the question? Could it be possible that my brain has given backstories to all of my parts, and that's all that we're calling up,
Or could it be that your parts are being influenced by previous lifetimes?
right?
It
Because
doesn't matter.
I know, right? That's the fuck this Ram Dass. Like it does, it's all the same trip, man. My favorite line in there. It's all the same trip, man. See him. Oh, buddy. I love him. Oh, and why do we get so hung up on it? Or is it just
Yeah,
me?
that's no, it's not just you. It's understanding the how and the why. I think it's a safety thing. I think it's a because I used to be very much this way, and sometimes I still very much am. I used to be this way with emotions. Like if I could intellectualize why I'm feeling what I'm feeling, I can disregard it or I can move past it without actually feeling it. And so understanding the how and the why and the what and the who, all those things have a sense of safety about them. If I can understand it, I can control it, which provides a feeling of safety. Whether or not it's actual safety doesn't matter. If I feel like it is, then it is. So I guess that really, you just got to ask yourself, like, do I need to know, or can I just let this be? Can I just believe myself? Can I believe that this was my past life?
No, I want to know, Erin.
I can't answer that for you. Maybe you can ask my sacral and it can tell you. I don't know.
This is when my dad comes out in me, and it's just like, no, there is an answer, and I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna figure it out because there is an answer.
But then you have to ask yourself, like, is it just your truth or is it universal truth? Because your truth is different than everybody else's.
Well, so what I have found with all of my searches for the answer is that there is not one, that there are multiple different perspectives of the same answer that are all also true in their own rights. Like it's just this crazy, to be raised in a religion of like right and wrong, good and bad, heaven and hell, creates, I'm learning, this weird, oh, I mean, it creates a lot. It has created a lot in me. But in this specific instance, just this like, no, there's only one way. There's only one answer. There can only be one answer because there can
Mm.
only be one God, which is also not true, you know, or it is true and he whatever it just shows themselves to whoever in the way that they can see them, or that's all they saw, or like my brain does this.
Hmm. Yeah. Was it fun?
Sometimes. Sometimes I can be so entertained by myself, and other times I am just like, ah, where is it? Where's the end? Where's the bottom? Where's the top? Where's the middle? There isn't. None. None of them. They're like they could all be the beginning, the end, and the middle,
Yeah.
depending on where you're looking from. And it's like my kids are so cute. They're like, sometimes I hate being so conscious. I hate
Here you
knowing so much
go.
because then we're accountable. And I can't blame it on anybody else, like I love blaming the planets. Like it's got to be the moon. I don't know. Is it Jupiter? Mercury's got to be in retrograde again, right? Or my period. That's a fun one to blame too, you
Hmm.
know? But
I've
it's
had
just
everything on the sun lately.
everything,
Everything.
anything but
Only
me.
the
It can't be my fault.
sun.
It can't be my fault. I saw this funny meme that said, man, things have been really hard lately. What's going on with the planets? What planet can I blame? And someone said, Earth. period. Just Earth. Welcome to Earth, man. It's all the same trip.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned something a long time ago in this, recording that I was like, I didn't know about that. I knew we were going through an asteroid belt. I didn't know that it's been like 62 billion years. Is that what you said?
I think it was 62,000
60,000. Okay, still a lot.
proton belts. And I
But
don't know much about it other than that.
oh, not an asteroid belt, a proton?
I think we were going through an asteroid belt for a little while,
Okay.
but now, and I don't know. Let's see if I can.
This is where I wish I was Joe Rogan. That was funny. And had a Jamie.
Nope.
Like,
Yeah,
hey
that
Jamie,
was,
you look that up for me.
I know, right?
um, you said protons,
Yeah.
neutrons, electrons rotate around the atom, and that creates the nucleus. This
Well,
is
that's very like micro. We're
right.
macroing. We're talking about space.
Right. But I'm just saying, if we're going right, taking the massive macro into the like tiniest micro within ourselves, because everything has protons. Every cell in our body has protons. So, of course, we would be affected on a
Yeah.
molecular, cellular level with that.
Yep. Hang on. I want to be with you, but also I'm not going to try and find this.
If it didn't pop up the first try,
No, there's something. It says stuff, but I have to read it. So
go
there's
read it.
somebody, Pam something or other. She's an astrologer I pay attention to. And she talks about this that we were going through an asteroid belt. I don't know, maybe we still are. I don't know. But we move through space. Our solar system moves through space. And we're currently moving through a proton belt. And I don't know what that means other than there's protons and they're protons that we move through every 65,000 years. And I don't think there was humans around 65,000 years ago, not modern humans anyway.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. And then there's also I heard this thing, trying to remember, there's a supernova, a planet that's gone or a star that's gone supernova like 3 billion years ago that we're just now receiving the light from.
Oh,
Like, this light is just now getting to us, or it has over the last so many years. But this person I was listening to, and I can't remember now, I listen to so much that's like I pick it up here and there, but it was saying that we're now getting like brand new ancient wisdom in light form. Like this new nova that's 3 billion years ago is now hitting the earth along with going through the 65,000 cycle proton belt, and the sun is like bursting out new stuff every day all day long. There's just a lot of new energy hitting the planet.
okay. I have to just take a moment to this ancient wisdom that is brand new.
Yeah, I know, when I heard that I was feeling like, whoa.
That is awesome. Because, yeah, 3 billion years old. And those particles are just reaching us now.
Yeah. And if we, light carries information, like the sun gives us light codes all the time, but it's not the only light codes we get.
No, can you remember what exactly Dr. What's his butt that we love so much?
Zach Bush?
Zach Bush says about the light, about how we are 10 times more light than a cubic square centimeter of the sun. Like it is some asinine, like there's no fucking way. And I've tried multiple times to like, I'm going to remember this. Jennie, I remember so many things, but for some reason, this one escapes me
Mm-hmm.
that we are scientifically,
Yeah, you ready?
yeah.
Bush says that the mitochondria in human bodies are 10,000 times more efficient at producing light than the surface of the sun. He also says that humans are like 8 billion stars burning 10,000 times brighter than the stars in the galaxy. I don't know if that's what you were looking for, but I can find, let's see if we can quickly get his full quote.
Yeah, because that one just said the surface of the sun, but I swear it was like a square inch. And I don't know if it was cubic, centimeter, square, I don't fuck words stuff. That's the part I always, but 10 times brighter than the sun and 8,000 stars. We are light beings
We are.
and we just move so fast. We appear
So the
soft.
mitochondria in the human bodies are 10,000 times more efficient at producing light than the surface of the sun. So mitochondria, the little bacteria brains that live in each cell, and there's like thousands per cell,
Yeah,
and we have billions of cells in our body.
trillions.
Suns are like 8 billion stars burning 10,000 times brighter than the stars in the galaxy. That's a lot.
Dang.
I know he says something like, "How are you not blinding me?"
Why are you not blinding me right now? Oh man, I love him so much. I love all of his stuff. That's one of those things I wish I could just like, let me just go put my forehead to your forehead and can I just more like
Yeah,
osmosis? I just want to know everything you know.
my brain couldn't contain it.
I wonder if that'll be one of the gifts that comes to us in 2027, one of the upgrades we get.
That would
There
be nice,
is
but
one of the things that Richard Rudd talks about is like skin, something about our skin being more translucent,
yeah.
which is really interesting because I really like to be tan.
I'm really excited to not have to eat so much, to be able to just like eat the sun.
Dude, that one would solve so many problems. Like on like a global scale.
Right. Yeah.
So many problems. And daily personal problems for myself. Like, oh my gosh, that was like I just did the 11/11 portal ceremony. And
Mhm.
my intuition, one of the things we ask is like, okay, what's the next step? And my intuition said, make a meal plan. And I was like, can it be something cool? Like go to this river or go talk to a tree or draw a cool picture? Why does it
Mhm.
have to be meal plan?
Oh, but you grow the most through the things you don't want to do.
I know. I was just like telling everybody, I was just like, when you do the thing that your spirit wants you to do that you don't want to do, you get all of this energy back. And it's not going to ask you to do anything really hard, but it's going to feel really hard. And, but I teach it because I know it
Hmm.
and I love it. I'm a weird, kinky, weird person and I like to struggle.
Yeah. Weird kinky person in a struggle. Well, now you get to practice walking your talk and your teachings and doing the hard shit,
I do.
making me.
I do every day. It is this man, my profile 3-5, human design, profile 3-5, martyr heretic. What's yours again?
5-1.
5-1. So you have the martyr. And then one is
Or is
the
it 1-5? I don't remember.
investigator. So you're in heretic investigator heretic, whatever. But the 3-5 specifically is this design to do all the things. That's the three. That's three energies experience, martyr. I don't like the martyr word for it, so I changed it. My own personal word is experience because that makes me feel better. Like I'm going to have this experience and I may fail and it may suck, but I'm not going to live in martyr mode. And either way, whether I fail or succeed, I'm then the heretic and supposed to teach it. Like, hey, don't do
Mhm.
this because I fucking sucked at it and it was horrible. And if I had done it this way, it probably would have been a lot easier. So maybe try that, you know? Or like, oh, hey, I tried this and it worked really well for me. Do it. Um, but that is this whole like challenge experience. And I just like this dullness or discontentness or angsty. It's all of those, right? There's like this boredom that's like this dull, Like, I mean, I don't know. Should we go to a concert, a football game? Should we go, should we go to the hot springs? Should we go hiking? Should we go camping? Should we go, like, it's like, I don't, should we eat here? Should we eat there? Should we make this? Should we make that? Like, nothing is exciting to me. Like, there's no food that excites me. There's no, like, we went to the hot springs yesterday and it was like, okay, we went last week, like, okay, we've done this too. And it's like, I need a new experience, or this is from this, like, no, well, and I talked about this in my talk too, on fire. I need to experience the same things a new way is probably really what it is. Damn.
Mm.
Damn, that's probably really what it, because I'm searching, and I'm going to Vipassana next week, for 10 days of silence, and that's going to be fucking hard. So there's that to look forward to. But I'm like, I need to learn how to experience the things I'm already doing in a new way.
I think there's also the importance of allowing yourself to be bored. Because I get that too. Like that feeling of nothing's exciting, nothing calls to me, like nothing really entertains me. Ugh, I'm just like, I get that a lot lately too. And I think we just have to be bored sometimes.
I agree. How do you be
But
like, really? Like, oh, because I say I'm bored, but that's me being angsty wanting to do something that I'm not doing.
mhm.
I don't know. What is boredom? Yeah. Or like just bored with the thing you are doing. Like, I'm doing this thing, but it's like not exciting me.
Yeah.
I saw this thing about God, it's a conspiracy theory, which is cool because we're conspiracy theorists. At least we entertain them, we talk about them, we don't shut them down,
Sure.
and we're like, I don't know, whether we're like full-fledged in it or not, we
Yeah.
like to talk about
All
them.
things are possible.
Yeah. I really wish I could remember where I saw this so I could either look it up or give them credit, but they were talking about how the school system was to was created in a way, fuck, I'm gonna mess this up. Um, like, essentially our kids are all bored,
Mm,
and they have learned how to work the system. Like, I just know I have to figure out how to pass this test. Like, whatever I've got to do to pass this test, because that's how they mark achievements there.
yeah.
And so they've created this, like, they've found all of their own little weird loopholes, so that they can just figure out how to, like, get by, but they're bored. No one's actually really challenged. I mean, unless they have, I mean, there's people with internal motivators, and internal drivers, but on a general, they're creating this boredom. Um, and it's really, I don't, like, there's part of me that's kind of like, I can see that, because a bored population is easy to excite. And like, oh, look at this thing over here, attention, while something else happens over here.
Mm,
No,
mhm.
because it's like, oh, we're just bored, we're bored, we're bored. And then also just like the full stream media 24/7. Like, there's always something happening, something going on, that there is also no time to be bored, but it's creating I'm really doing a horrible job of this. I'm trying. Um, it's creating um, what is it when you get used to something because of the
Uh,
video violence and the, what is it
like
called?
it desensitizes.
Desensitized. Yeah, desensitized. Like,
Mhm.
I remember listening to a comedian, I can't remember his name, talk about how he was able to watch the war live on YouTube, like bombing streets and stuff, fighting. And like, he's like, reading the comments was horrific. Like, people are like, ugh, I'm bored. Not enough dead people, blah, blah, like, what the, are you serious
Well,
right now? This is real. This is not a simulation. This is not a TV show. This is not fake. This is a real live war. And people are like, I'm bored. Like,
wow, that's crazy.
so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I don't know
ask.
about that. That's yeah, I don't know. But when it comes to all these different conspiracy theories and stuff, while it's whether it's done intentionally or it's just what's happened because of,
Yeah.
um, like these conspiracy theories are fun. Sometimes it's like really fun to think about. Yeah, and as long as you just kind of keep it at that base level, like let's just play with this idea and see what happens. Um, like maybe thought experiments and things like that. But there are people out there that really allow it to consume and dictate their lives, which think when you get to that point, is it adding to your life or taking away from your life? And can you decide to not focus or pay attention to it at all?
You have choices. Yeah. For me, the question is always like, okay, and then maybe I'm just a selfish bitch, but the question is always like, does this affect me personally? Which includes, my immediate community and family and friends and um and even if it doesn't, the next question is always, what can I do about this?
Yeah,
What is in my power to make change here? And is it my job?
yeah,
And I hate the word job for a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest things that I like hang my hat on, I believe this solidly. And one of my favorite questions to ask people is like, if there was one thing that you think would change the world, like that would make it a better place, what would that be? And for me, it is if everybody was tuned into their inner intuition, into their own inner knowing, they
hmm,
would know what was right for them. And like when it comes to conspiracy theories, whenever stuff comes my way, I'm always like, okay, yeah, cool, let's check it out. And then I sit back and I go, okay, I take a deep breath and I ask my higher self. I don't ask my brain. My brain's working while I'm watching the video and I'm having all these thoughts and stuff, or I'm talking to the person. My brain's working. And then I'm like, okay, what do I like? Is this really matter to me? Is this really something that I need to work on? And some people, like some of those extreme people, maybe they were called to, work on it. But I think also a lot of people do get carried away.
yeah.
Where's the line? This is a question we ask all the time. What's the line, Erin?
I don't know. I don't know
This
what the
is
line is.
back to my first.
It's
There's got to
crazy.
be an answer. There's got to be a line.
I'm sure there's a line, but it's different for everybody.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
What
I
would
don't
be
know the answer.
what would be your one thing?
Honestly, I don't care anymore about the answers.
No?
Answers are limiting,
Yeah.
is what I've learned. An answer is a finite energy. If you have an answer, it eliminates all other possibility. So
Mm.
don't look for an answer. Ask a question, but don't look for an answer. Ask a question opens a door to a million possibilities. Finding an answer slams all of them but one.
Dang. I'm like, unless unless you get the one right door, you pick the one right one, and it opens to all the doors.
Interesting.
Oh no,
It's a
this
lot of pressure to pick the right door,
I
find the right
know,
answer.
right? It is pressure. That is so, my brain just does that. Like my brain was like, oh no, there's the right door. You can pick a right one. That's so funny.
And then also what's right. Right is completely subjective.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder if this is where I'm like still just, how do you, I know the answers. It's so dumb. I have these questions and then I mean I know the answers, but like I know my answer for me. But I still get stuck in this like if everything is possible and there is no wrong and there is no right, and it's all just experience. It's all just an experiment. Then it's like, how do I choose? Well, what do you want to do? Because I like, oh, if I can't mess it up, then what one do I do? Because if I go down there, it could be like this. If I went down there, but if I did this, and I was like, hold on. Like that's all brain and logic. But it's like, oh, what do you want to do? What feels the most exciting and enlightening and expansive? And not just like, because I could get caught up in the like, well, I don't want to do anything. I just want to go eat like popcorn and watch movies all day. And that's not it either. Uh,
Hmm.
but like what is it that like really lights you up that feels expansive and probably slightly scary, if not a
Yeah.
lot scary?
Yeah. As long as it's got that expansive sense to it.
What would be your thing to fix the world?
Um, well, if the world that we see outside of us is just a reflection of what's going on inside of us, I think finding inner peace would be the biggest thing. Um, and how is that done? I don't know because I have moments of it, glimpses of it, and I think it's a lot of not concerning myself, and that sounds bad, but not concerning myself with the trappings of the world. Like you were saying, like you hear all the conspiracies, or you hear the news, or you hear whatever, and you check in and say, am I called to do anything about this? What I do is, what does that make my body feel like? And if
Mm,
it makes it feel bad in any way, if it makes it feel fear, I I don't run from it, but I don't pay it any attention. Because if it creates fear in my body, I'm contributing to the fear in the world.
mm,
So if I can get to a place where I'm in joy all the time or in peace all the time, I'm now contributing to the joy and the peace of the world. And if we could all do that and we weren't feeding the fear and we were feeding the peace, it would grow. So maybe that's it. Yeah. We just have to find peace. Feed the peace, make that the goal.
Feed the peace. Is peace opposite for fear for you?
I mean, my brain wants to say no, love is the opposite of fear,
Love is opposite of fear. Okay.
but peace is what I want.
Yeah.
I just want to feel content. I just want to feel soft and not rushed and be able to do whatever I want to do and know that it's fine. That's what feels to me. And that's what I want today. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow I want something different.
I love that. That's what I want. That's just for today. I love that. And it can change because we are human and
Yeah.
I change my other mind all the time.
Well, and this my little T tag, it
Mhm.
says accept who you are in this moment, but acknowledge, or sorry, yeah, but acknowledge who you want to become. So it's like that's what I want right now. But eventually I'll want excitement. I want to change the world with hypnosis. I don't know.
Yeah. It kind of makes me think of like back at the beginning of this when I was talking about I'm looking for that thing. And it's like, but it's everywhere. It's like that searching. I think the searching is the thing that's keeping us from it, realizing it's
Yeah.
already here.
Yeah. I was just having this conversation with my daughter. So I'm sure you know this. Having conversations with my daughter is the um you get
Yeah, Jerry brought down a chocolate chip cookie.
yummy.
What? And I was like,
Come on, one. Um, having conversations with Olivia is really makes me, so I want to teach her everything that I know. I want her to feel wonderful and know wisdom. And we were having this conversation this morning about turning on the magnet, letting our body be the magnet and turning it on and talking about the nature of magnets. They can attract just as strongly as they can repel.
Mm-hmm.
and what turns on the attraction and what turns on the repelling. And we were talking about it. I was like, what turns on that repelling factor? It's like when I really want something, like when I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it, give it, find it, I need it now. Like this desperate, like seeking. Yeah, I think that turns on the like, ugh. Because if I have a friend who's like, hey, you, I need you, Erin, call me. Like, I need attention, attention, attention. It's like,
Mm.
don't you have something better to do? Like, so I think that's what it is. It's the seeking, the like, where is it? Is it under this rock? Is it under that rock? Is it there? That might be
Mhm.
keeping it away. Just like I was asking her what turns on the like the attraction. And she's like, confidence and knowing like your worth. She's asking me in question.
Uh-huh.
But I think so. But how do you gain that confidence? How does that happen? She's like, I don't know. Like, well, you could improve your skills so you know you're ready for it when it happens. You could respect your body, which goes back to another conversation that we had about respecting the body and how that's probably the thing that turns the magnet on the most because our bodies are the magnet.
Mhm.
Um, so, eating the right foods, getting enough rest, getting all the movement, doing what the body wants you to do rather than what you think you want versus, planning the meals, um, doing the things and how that can turn on the magnet of it to draw everything in that you want. I don't know. I don't know why that felt like a tangent to go off on, but it just feels super relevant to me too right now because it's like, while I don't really know what I want, I do know that I want peace. So I need to create an environment where peace wants to be.
Mm.
I don't know what that looks like, but it's probably not like stressing out over every little thing. Peace is going to be like, that's gross. Not
Uh,
my home.
having peace in the process of creating peace. No, I love that analogy. Um, it's not even an analogy, it's just reality. We are the magnets. And like that attraction versus repulsion. I mean, wow, what a really powerful way to teach your kids the law of attraction, like a literal magnet. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm trying to think of like how I explain it to my kids. Um, because my kids are older. I've got teenagers and adults, and she's 10 now, huh?
She's 10. Yeah. Well, I've got a 10-year-old and a 19-year-old.
10 and 19. So yeah, you've got both. Um, I was trying to explain to Drew about how their external world is a mirror of their internal world. And so I said, "How you doing?" And they're like, "I'm fine. What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Have you looked at your room?" Like, and they really disagree with me on this.
Hmm.
We had conversations, they're like, "Mom, I don't know that I believe about that." And I said, "Well, it's not just your room, everything that exists around you.
Yeah.
It's a direct reflection of your own inner mind. In fact, when I got home from the session with you, Drew became a perfect little mirror for me. She pulled the Saturn card. I have a card deck that I really love. um, the Alchemy guidebook. And she pulled the Saturn card, and it's all about responsibility and leadership. And like for a minute, I was like all gung ho because I'm like, oh yeah, it's time for you to take and like in career. But for kids going to school, that's your career. So I'm like, dude, you've just been like playing the sidelines. People are dragging you along. It's time for you to step up and be the leader of your life, like take responsibility for what's going on here. And I'm just kind of want to read through what I wrote here because um where did it go? Drew is the perfect mirror for me. I saw how hard she's resisting her school and cleaning her room, and it's just like me resisting writing my book. We're
Mhm.
both little stubborn stinkers. um, so I guess that's all I wrote. I was hoping that would like trigger a little bit more, but it really was. I was just sitting there like, oh yeah, you're resisting this and you're resisting that, and you're meant to be a leader and you're meant to take charge and you're meant to. And I was like, oh, I'm talking to myself here. Or I need to be talking to myself here. I read this really cute story of a woman who went to Gandhi and said, Gandhi, will you please tell my son to stop eating sugar? And he said, come back in 3 days. So she comes back with her son 3 days later, and he says to the son, stop eating sugar. And the woman, kind of confused, goes, why did you tell us to come back in 3 days if that's all you said? He goes, I myself had not stopped eating sugar.
I love that. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Not the cutest? I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, here's my mirror, here's my external world. And I wish there's a way for me to be like, oh, Drew, right now you're mirroring me. Exactly. You're showing me what's going on in my inner world. Like, how do you meta that?
Yeah, that's a tough one. But here's my thing. So this is what I love so much, looping this all back to QHHT. What I love about this technique is I'm able to help people see things, deep, deep, deep stuff, but it's not coming from me. And anytime I'm talking to anybody else, it's just a general rule. If somebody's gonna say something, if I can get you to come to your own realization, you're gonna believe it. If I say it to you, you may defend it. Like you may, you know,
Yeah,
somebody says something, they're gonna buy it. Somebody you tell somebody the same thing, it's likely they'll defend it and say that's not truth. So I love what I do right now so much because it's not coming from me. It's coming from you.
yeah,
It's not my truth. It's yours. And so maybe with Drew, if you could ask her, hey, how does your life, how's your life reflecting in mine right now? And ask her and see, maybe she can't see it.
oh,
And
interesting.
maybe if she can't see it, she's not ready to see it.
Yeah. Oh, what a fun world, huh?
Yeah.
That's just ask. What I do love having about what I do love about having older children is like we can have these deep conversations. Like we talked about like is trans is trans a mental illness, a mental disorder, you know? And it was just, what do you think about God? What do you think about hell? What do you think about the devil? Like we have these deep conversations, and all of my kids think slightly differently. We all kind of
Hmm.
have there's some commonalities for sure, but like I've got one daughter who doesn't believe in a God. you know and I don't believe in like a god, but she doesn't believe in, like, she's like, no, I don't think there's anything. I think this is it. We're just here to, as humans, to experience life. And I'm just like this super spiritual woman, and I'm like, really? Like, but it's like fascinating. I want to know what that belief feels like because I've never believed that. And so
Yeah.
instead of like shutting it out and telling her she's wrong and she needs to believe something different, or trying to tell her this is how you should believe, I'm like, what does that feel like? Tell me, like, what do you think? What about this? And what about that? And how do you feel about this? And what about this? Because to me, not believing in anything, like, I would do things totally differently, I think. I think I would feel more pressure and stress to get everything
Really?
done in this life. If this is all there is,
Huh.
you know what I mean? I would feel like this pressure and rush to like, I'm in a hurry to get things done. Oh, I rush and rush until life's no fun. All I really gotta do is live and die, but I'm in a hurry and don't know why. But like, because I do believe there's more, and that when we die, there's more. I don't know what, but I know that there's more. And I can't know like and approve it. No, it's just my own inner knowing. Um, but I don't know, how would it feel to not believe that?
I don't know.
So I get to ask, my daughter these questions. But it's really cool that I love like this new way of parenting, of like for me, especially because I was raised in such a strict religious home that like that was the parenting. The parenting was like backed up by the religion. The religion was backed up with parenting. Like it was,
Yeah.
and so I, without a religion, I'm like, how do I parent? You know? And so it's just been really interesting
Mhm.
to try to find ways to like, all right, how do we do this? Um, it's tricky. It's tricky, but it's fun.
Yeah.
The other
It's
night,
fun sometimes.
yeah,
I
pulled
bet
out
it's
my
sometimes.
drums and the turned on the red light and turned off all the other lights, and we sang and danced and drummed, and we pulled out the little ghost balls and called in spirits, and the kids were asking questions, and it was fun. It was
That's
fun.
awesome.
But then there's other days I'm yelling at them and why won't you do the dishes?
Yep. Yeah. I feel like I have more of that lately than the fun. I really like this idea of what we were just talking about cultivating a place where what we want wants to be.
What we want wants to be. Mm. How do you do that?
It's a good question. 333.
Hmm?
Um, I don't know. I don't know how to do that. But if I want a happy family, then I need to cultivate a place where a happy family wants to reside. And that doesn't consist of me yelling at my kid for, getting distracted, which happens all the time. If I want a happy family, then what does a happy family do?
Yeah. How do
It's
you
been
work
interesting. It's
that?
like a backwards way of just creating that thing. There's all these different techniques you can do of like manifestation or whatever. It's like, okay, so I have a vision of a happy family. What does a happy family do? They do these things. So in order for me to have a family, I should do these things. Kind of the same technique, I suppose, but looking at what you want as its own separate consciousness and creating an environment where that consciousness wants to reside. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm processing.
Well, think of money. Like, money is maybe an easier way to talk about this. There's lots of people out there who are like abundance gurus or coaches or whatever. And a lot of the stuff, because I've listened to lots of books and uh, all the different things. And it's like, if money is a thing, if money is its own consciousness, what kind of an environment does money want to live in? Does money want to live in a place where it's like choked and held on to really tight? Probably not. Money's not going to want to go where it can't flow. So money's probably not gonna want to be with you if that's how you feel about money. Um, Money doesn't want to be wasted though. Money doesn't want to be thrown away or support terrible things. So money's probably not going to come to you if you're going to waste it on crack cocaine. I don't know.
Yeah,
But or it's all subjective, but it's an interesting thought.
it really is. Um, I mean, environment, I mean, set and setting, right? So important for a medicine journey.
Yeah.
But why do we not take that much time in our everyday set and setting to create that space where we could feel safe to be that vulnerable? I mean, like there's a little bit of like, what is her name? Maria Kondo. Like, this
Hmm.
doesn't bring you joy, throw it away. Like,
Yeah.
we do that with our thoughts, right? Like,
Oh,
oh,
I do that with myself all the time. Yeah. Does this feel good in my body? No. Okay, then
get rid of it. So is that how you create an environment for peace?
I don't know.
I think
But
there's a little bit of like, there has to be, you talked about with Olivia, her body and taking care of her body. So, like, our environment outside of us, if it mirrors what's happening within, what does a peaceful environment outside of us look like? And then, yeah, reverse engineering it. And then what, what type of person is required to maintain that peaceful environment externally? What are their daily habits?
Yeah. Yeah, another thing that's kind of coming like image come into mind is like for gardeners. Well, you
Mm,
want to cultivate an environment where the beneficial insects want to live. So you grow certain things, you keep certain things out. You don't put pesticides or yucky chemicals or whatever. You water it good, you keep your plants healthy. You create an environment that's inviting to what you want to come.
mm. And then it just shows up.
And then it just shows up. And then
Yeah.
you just have to maintain the environment.
Yeah. So what does it take to set up that environment and maintain it? And how do you become that person?
Yeah, or maybe in the doing of the setting up the environment and maintaining it, you just naturally become that person.
Yeah. Yes, and huh? Weird. That's so weird.
I like it.
What?
I
Like it,
like it
yeah, I love it because it's like this, it's like reach, it's this is like quantum. This is quantum work. Like, let me jump into
very much.
the
Hmm.
future timeline where there's this happy, peaceful family. And let me peek into a day in a life of their routine. And what are they doing to be maintain this peaceful, happy family? And what are the habits that they have set up that just it's automatic? And then which one of those habits can I start implementing today? Just
Yeah.
one. Just which one? You know, that domino one, which is the one that if I just do this one thing, it will have the most effect on everything else.
Yeah. Well, so I have a theory too when it comes to the quantum timeline stuff is, and I was just talking to a client the other day and kind of describing this because there's people who do this and they talk about it and it's very high level and, but there's like, what are the practical steps, like kind of how you were just talking, but like, okay, so say that in my highest timeline, my business is really successful. I have a peaceful home, all these things. So all my ideal timeline, my highest potential right now. There's that. And it may be like I'm here on this trajectory, and that one may be over here.
Mhm.
And I have this practice when I wake up. It's like I'm choosing to step into the next timeline closer to where the highest timeline. Because for me to go from here to here, that's a big quantum leap. Well, it's possible. It's not easy, and I'm not ready for it. So, what timeline is closer that I'm still waking up in the exact same way? I haven't done a single thing different. I've woken up in the exact same way that I just did, but it's one timeline closer. And if I could wake up one timeline closer every day, and it could be incrementally different. I may not even be able to tell. I wake up the same way every single day, but I'm one timeline closer. Because then you don't even have to do anything besides know that you're waking up in a higher timeline.
Okay, there's so many thoughts happening in my brain around this, and I love it so much because this is another chicken and egg thing. Like, this is a beautiful, a perfect, like, real example that we could use. Well, hypothetically, I guess still.
Real hypothetical.
Really hypothetically. Um, because you just claiming every morning, intentionally claiming, I'm choosing, consciously choosing and claiming to step into just the next timeline that gets me closer to my goal, my dream, my purpose, my path. And then you just literally surrender and trust. You
Yeah.
don't feel like it doesn't feel to me like what you're saying anyway, it doesn't feel like you're trying, you're forcing, you're pushing, you're punishing, like it's just like I'm claiming it and I'm trusting it's happening. And then how much of that rewires the brain neurons to be like, like
Mhm.
timeline, and then things start to shift out here because things are shifting up here, but because you're consciously choosing, like there's so many levers and lails.
Yeah, there
So
are.
many levers and lails, levels and
And
layers.
it's even like, yes, I think there's no effort. There's no effort here. Efforting is, I think, kind of counter acting
Yeah.
this process. It's just, and maybe it's even setting the attention when you go to bed at night. And
Mm.
when I wake up in the morning, I will wake up in the next closest timeline to this on the path to that. And then trusting. And it's even, okay, so what do? We die at night, right? Every night is you die to who you are to wake up to who you will be. And if we're doing that, then we can even say we're waking up in a new timeline where our brain doesn't have to rewire because it's just that way. The universe doesn't have to realign itself because it's already on the path.
I love you so
We're
much.
taking our consciousness and putting it in a new physical being on a different timeline.
Different timeline. That's so wild. Have you experienced timeline hops like that you can share about?
I nothing that comes to mind. Like there's definitely things where it's like like today, for instance, I was getting home Livy home from school from her tutor thing, and I was talking to Tony on the phone. He's like, it's like snowing in the backyard. I'm like, what? He's like, it's the trees. They're like, it's snowing cotton. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. There's no cotton anywhere. And we get home and Livy looks out in the back. She's like, it's snowing. It's like cotton snow. And I look out and there's a few flurries. I don't know if this is a timeline thing, but it's like I don't see what you see.
Interesting.
Like so I like in my mind went definitely to this place of like, okay, well, parallel universe right now, whatever. Just let it be what it is. I don't want to argue that you see something very different. You're experiencing life differently than I am in this moment. I don't know if that is the timeline thing that you're referring to, but we were on different timelines there for a minute.
Well, no, I think that's a perfect example. I have one just like that in Jamaica. Me, my sister-in-law, and mother-in-law were sitting looking out at the ocean, and I see a pelican. I'm like, "Oh, look at the pelican out there!" And she's like, my sister-in-law goes, "Oh, I it looks like a scuba diver to me or a snorkeler," and my mother-in-law goes, "It's just trash." We all like were sitting there, and I was like, and where she's like, "No, I definitely see a snorkeler." And mother-in-law's like, "It's garbage." And I was like, "It's a bird. I clearly see the bird." We're all sitting there at the same exact time looking at this one, like we're all pointing. It's white. Yeah, white. Like everybody's pointing at the same thing. And I was like, so we're like all sitting next to each other, but we're in different timelines.
Yeah,
Bizarre.
bizarre. Well, think about like the timelines intersect, right? There's got to be. If it's like
Yeah.
quantum and there's, all these different timelines, at some point they merge.
Okay, I
And
have a
oh,
question for you. So based off the whole like Ant-Man, the last one where every move he makes, others of him peel off that would have made different choices.
yeah.
Have you ever met one of your doppelgangers that you think could potentially have been a past you that chose a path you didn't choose?
No, I can't think I've ever experienced anything like that.
Okay, so I went to a concert and I so wish I could remember who she was. Because she opened. She was the first, at USANA, they have three bands and they usually only promote the last two, the bigger two. She was the opener. But she looked like me. She dressed like I dressed, would be dressing if I was still in that, like I was in a band in college. Like, and she even has the same mole on the belly in the same exact spot. Like, I
Hmm.
was looking at her going, is that me if I had stayed with the whole band thing?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
is that possible to run into like a past you that made a different choice and is now a different you? But like, it couldn't be Jenny Stone still, because I was Jenny Stone back then. So
hmm
obviously it wasn't me, but like, I don't even know how that would work, I guess. Maybe that's a dumb question.
It's not a dumb question. It's a really fun thing to think about. And it's fun to like, okay, so if it was you from that timeline, you branched off, you wouldn't you are Jenny Stone in this timeline. So the what you perceive wouldn't be that that's Jenny Stone because that's who
Oh,
you are.
it's
So
true.
it's all about perception, you know,
So it couldn't be me.
but it could be
What if she's a time traveler? What if I'm a time traveler?
what if? It's possible.
Oh, that is one of the like, oh my God, I so would love to be able to like bilocate or just what's it called when you just like boop, to a different place? Because bilocate
I
would be
want
in two locations at one
to
time.
be
Would be awesome.
yeah, like teleport, kind of
Teleport.
like hmm
That would be so nice to just like, in your dreams. It's like we were here and then I turned my head and we were at this place. We wanted to go outside and then we were outside. We wanted to fly and then we
yeah.
were flying. Like, like when when do we figure that matrix out? That I just like, I'm going to Disneyland and I take 3 steps and I'm at Disneyland.
2027. Just wait.
2027.
2 years from now.
What do you think it's going to be? What do you think is going to show up?
I have no idea. I don't even have part of me feels like it's just gonna feel a little bit different than it feels right now.
Yeah. Think it'll be
It's
like
gonna be
go.
so slow that it's imperceptible. And
Yeah.
it won't be except for looking back on how things were. Like right now, I could look back on how things were 2 years ago in COVID. I guess that was 4 years ago. Like that was 4 years ago. Like looking back on that and looking back on now, like life is extremely different. But it didn't happen all at once. It was incremental. And it's only from looking back that I can even see how different it is. I think it's going to be like that.
Yeah. That's been some of my thoughts. But like the gifts are already starting to come.
They are. And that's kind of what I mean. It's like there's a
Yeah.
lot more people who channel. There's so much more happening now than was happening 4 years ago,
Yeah,
2 years ago. Like it's happening and it's incremental and it's only enough to be noticed when you look back on it.
that's true. Yeah, because like pre-COVID, I told people in secret that I guess I'm a psychic. I guess I channel. It's like, careful who you tell. Like, I don't want to, and I was just like, whoa, this is what I do,
Yeah.
um, amongst many other things. I thought it was funny. One of the questions I wanted to know at from my subconscious was like, what spiritual gifts can I claim? And like
Yeah.
Erin maintained such beautiful professional composure. And she also knows me really well. So um, she knows me. We'll just say that. You did not like roll your eyes at me, but you did ask a really beautiful question. Do you remember what you asked?
No, I don't remember.
You
You have to
asked,
remember.
you asked, do you have an inkling of what this is
Mm,
already?
yeah.
Do you feel like you already know what this is? And like you asking that, it was like, but I want to know. I want a sign. I want like a fax or something. Wow, that really dated me. Like fax from heaven, just just slowly coming down. I rip off. No, yeah, I do. I know. And I think it's really interesting the whole like ancient wisdom coming at us new because that is something that is said a lot in the Sophia Code, is these like ancient wisdoms that are starting to be revealed to us now. And over the last, yeah, since COVID, it's been since COVID, my spiritual gifts have like I don't even know if I could quantify them. Like I want to like it's more than like 10,000 times. I don't know. Like it's hard to quantify because there's gifts I receive that I didn't even know were possible. I was like, I
Mm,
didn't know I could do that. Like I've dream walked in other people's dreams. Like someone will call me up like, oh my God, I had this dream about you. And I'm like, I know we were doing this and this and this. They're like, how did you know? I'm like, I was there, you know? I mean, it doesn't happen all the time. And that's just one that I can articulate. There's some that are just, you can't even put your finger on, but it's like, there's this feeling of like, I know I had a part in that. And it feels almost, I have a battle going on within me, this war of like, I want to claim it and like feel confident, have that confidence, and like, these are my gifts. And there's this part of me that, like you say so often, I don't do anything. I just show up and it happens.
Hmm.
And it's just also like, I kind of feel like there's power in claiming it too. Like, this
Hmm.
is, I do this, but it can also be a crutch of like,
Mm.
oh, I do this, you know, and it can shut off other possibilities like, oh, she does that. So she can't do that, you know? So
Yeah.
it's a really weird place to be. And like people are like, oh, so what do you do? And I'm like, what do I say? What do I do? How, like, I've even asked my clients after a session, like, how would you tell someone about me in a sentence? Like, you need to go see this woman because she helps with blank. And they're like, everything? And I'm like, well, that doesn't help. like, like how, because sometimes those identities and labels help other
Yeah,
people know
they
like how
definitely
to
help.
meet you. But I also am like trying to get away from labels too. Like so that you can just be whatever you are in this moment. Like I'm so an ally and a fan for LGBTQIA plus and whatever other letters I missed or added, like because it just keeps changing. Um I'm all for the minority feeling safe and having a space where they feel supported and a community. And when you label yourself that, you shut down, just like you said, you shut down all the other doors except for that.
Yeah.
And like, and this is where I'm like, Drew came out trans as a child at 9. Actually, during COVID, Drew came out trans. They wanted to be a boy. And I was like, okay, all right. So now, I was against doing any hormonal replacement therapy, any, physical changes. I'm like, I'll get you to therapy. I'll buy you different clothes. I mean, their hair was already buzzed, to begin with. Like it was just like learning how to say he, him instead of she, her, because I had got all girls. But then, as the time went on and the more conversations we had with therapists and stuff, it was like, maybe you just more identify as non-binary. You're not really male, you're not really female, but and now she's she, her again. And so she went through a non-binary phase. We had to learn they, them, which was hard to switch from he, him, which we were trying to switch from she, her, it was like all
Yeah.
of this. And the whole time, like every time Drew came to me and was like, hey mom, I'm this now, or I feel this way, or I'm this, I'm like, okay, honey, whatever you are, be a good one. Like, because a rose by any other name would still smell as sweet. You're still you. Whatever your identity is, you can't get rid of that you-ness. And
Yeah.
however you change this external body or whatever labels you put on it or not, there's still this you-ness that exists. And when we label and identify it, we can box us in, but it sometimes helps too. And that's where I am right now. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what I am. I do all these things. I don't just show up. It's the Jennie experience.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
you
and
do
all you
QHHT.
gotta do is figure out how to market it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking for clients, you have to decide in what you do in a sentence enough to draw people in. Because as people come and work with you, they're gonna have their own experience, and then they're gonna send you their own referrals, based on what they've experienced from you. And it may not even fit your skill set, but you will just be able to go in there and try and play and see what you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. That is interesting. The Sacred Intuition Society is easy. It's all about your intuition, connecting with, understanding, deepening, utilizing, like putting
Yeah.
that shit to action and knowing how it talks to you. So that one's easy. yeah, I'm not quite sure because there's a lot. I do a lot. It's just like you do too. Like you all look at all these labels. Like we're back at the very
Yep.
that was one of those timelines I felt totally alone in. So one time, were we at your house or my house?
He was at your house.
We were at my house, and I was like, you guys, and I did this like loop in a time and back on like the watch. Like we just came back full circle to where we started. And it was like nobody knew what I was talking about, but I swear we had all had that conversation. And everybody was like, everybody, Jerry, you, Tone, you, they were like, I don't remember that. And like nobody. It was like, well, it became a thing anyway.
Yep.
I was on a different timeline. And I'm like, we had this conversation, you guys. Nobody remembered it.
Nope.
That was funny. But yeah, we just started, right? Or we just came back full
Yep.
circle
Right
with
back.
identity and all the labels and all the fun stuff. So,
And I think it's just fun to play with it. Like this one and I'm working on with right now, this QHHT thing. While it is a label, and right now I can say I am a QHHT practitioner, I
mhm.
know that it is just a stepping stone because I'm also working on, quantum communion, and I don't know exactly what it is. I'm allowing it to show itself to me and allowing it to evolve, and it's wreaking havoc on my life right now. But I feel like it's its own thing that's being birthed through me, and birth is not fun. So I guess I'm waiting and breathing. Sometimes I'm pushing, but I don't know. I won't always be a QHHT practitioner. I
Yeah.
just get to play with that space right now. And it's nice. It's nice having a place to just, oh, this is what I do. Simple.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's all I do.
Right. No, because you also did an Access Bars session on
Yeah,
me, which
I
was
did.
so beautiful. I fell asleep. I was so rested and relaxed, and your hands felt so good on my body. And like, it was really beautiful. I was really shook up.
You were.
I
Yeah.
was really shook up
I've never
emotionally.
actually seen you like that.
No, you have not. And that's a part of me. You're the first. mm, Jerry's seen it. I think my kids have seen it. But people outside of my home don't see that part of me.
Hmm.
And Juliet, who was the past life that we met, the Italian woman, was mortified, absolutely mortified that I was crying in front of somebody. Like, you
Hmm.
do not show your emotions in front of other people. You smile and, or just, neutral, or ignore, like there's no, and I am this woman who is fully, I'm not fully, I'm pretty free emotionally, expressively.
Yeah.
I feel pretty free to express myself. But I still have parts that are like, oh, no, 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 those are reserved for nobody's eyes unless you're here when it happens and then fuck me. And I'm sorry and please forgive me. And but it's like, no, I'm like, when I get like that, I'm like, nope, I hide in my room. I don't talk to me, don't look at me. I'm not worthy. I can't. That was a really vulnerable part. I felt, I mean, there was just mortification, shame, guilt, um, like I was doing it wrong. I was letting you down. I was letting myself down. I was letting God down. I was like, like it
Wow.
was heavy. It was a
Yeah.
lot. Um, and then I don't know if it's reverting. Would you call that reverting back to my childhood?
I don't know. Is that what it felt like?
Kind
I mean, you
of.
said that it felt like.
Yeah. I mean, I was just like, I remember this time my parents were moving to Oregon and I was just under the bed. I mean, we were moving to Oregon, but I was under the bed and I was like, I'm not going. My life is here. My friends are here. Oregon is scary. I don't know anyone there. I don't have any friends there. And I am not going and I'm hiding. You can't see me and you can't take me. And I was even doing this on the Opus bed. I was just like,
Hmm.
and you even like suggested opening my arms. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I can't show myself. This is too embarrassing. But like that part is also part of me that's resisting writing. Because, like, no, we're good here. We're comfortable here. We don't know what happens if we become an author. We don't know, that could be too scary if people like it and then they want more of you and you got a really nice thing going on right now. But then also, what if people really like it and they want more of you and that'll be really fun? Like, that was really, that was hard. That was really
Yeah.
hard. It's like one of the hardest. Like I've had healing sessions where I've screamed and moaned and groaned and raged and sobbed, but none of them felt as vulnerable as this.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
those were all like good riddance. Fuck yeah, this feels so good. And this was like,
yeah.
oh no, I'm not ready and I got caught.
Well, it's an honor to be able to witness you and your vulnerability.
Hmm, thank you. Um, and if there's like, man, I don't know if that, like, if you were a stranger,
You wouldn't have gone there with a stranger.
yeah, that's true, huh? Because we only can do what we feel safe doing.
Yeah.
And I obviously felt safe going there, even though I didn't feel like I felt safe.
Yeah. There's a part of you that was ready to expose that part of you. And once
Yeah,
then something is exposed to the light, it can no longer go in the dark.
right. Yeah, I just remembered something that Jasmine said to me one time about my inner child and how she wants to be a part of the things I'm doing. And so she
Mhm.
suggested setting up a meditation cushion beside me for her to sit on and a space for her to have an altar next to my altar. And
Yeah.
I've incorporated her and like I let her do a lot. Like a lot of what is in my office is her doing, rainbow bright everywhere. That's a lot of her inner child, my inner child stuff that's coming out. But I think I probably like that, just talking about that right now, and you saying, it was ready to come out. I think maybe I need to invite her to some of my meditations and stuff and let her see what I'm
Would
doing.
it, can I offer an insight?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So you invite your inner child, the bright and shiny, bubbly inner child, out all
No,
over.
yeah.
But that part that showed up, the whiny, bratty, I'm not doing it.
Hmm.
How often do you let her have a place?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I need to let her out. I need to invite her to sit down with me. Because, yeah, the
Yeah.
little wild Jennie, I think she's pretty free now. Like, I feel pretty safe letting her out all the time. I think she pretty much runs amok whenever she wants. Let's be honest. I'm just an inner child, but I'm a grown child, adult child. What are they called? Baby child? What?
I don't know.
Anyway, like there's a funny word for them. But no, I need to invite her. I need to invite her out of the bed, under the bed, and
Hmm.
say, "Hey, do you want to come, cuddle up in my lap while I meditate and look at the
Yeah,
candles and the pretty cards and the
yeah.
flowers?" Um,
Or
so
maybe you should crawl under the bed with her
maybe, yeah,
and just be held in
yeah,
that.
maybe, yeah. I will be incorporating that. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Integration of how do you help people through integration?
That's a really interesting thing because I follow up with people and I check in with them and I ask them how they're doing and I let them know I'm here from them, but most people don't. I'm great.
I'm great. Yeah.
So it's like I'm open for it, but maybe what I should do, and I just should, maybe what I could offer is an integration call. It's probably a really good idea. Thank you. Yeah, something like that to talk about it and re go through it. It's interesting because when in the first section where we're talking about questions, and a lot of it is too, like with you, we didn't have to do this because I know you, we have a relationship, but with people I'm just meeting, it's I'm learning about their family and their history and where they work and what they do and what they enjoy, and then I get into their questions. Um, I just totally blanked where I was going with that.
Integration call.
Hmm. Oh, and so as they're coming up with stuff, I have my own insights. I get my own like I should say that, or I want to say that, but I don't want to say it beforehand because I don't want to influence their direction. I want it to be purely where was coming from them. So probably, and then I don't, at the end of it, people are usually in that like, ooh, like weird heady space where they don't talk so much. They rest. They tell me their experience a little bit and then they go.
Mhm.
So an integration call would be a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that way I
Integration.
can offer my insights at that point.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful. Because yeah, integration is definitely is always a really interesting process. And anyone who's not integrating is like
Yeah,
you kind of are like doing yourself a disservice.
for
I'm
sure.
a big integration fan. Um, but yeah, this one has been really interesting. This one, I haven't really done anything to integrate it. And like that feels like the first action. I mean, I did write in my journal. Like I just came home and I just everything that I could remember, how I remembered it. And then I've left it alone. I've just kind of letting it sit and percolate. Because I haven't felt like I've needed to do anything.
Hmm.
But now it's like, oh, that's something I could do with this woman. I have had ideas of things like, oh, integrating this Juliet in me and asking her to help me with the like, you do your duty, you just do your work and you do it respectfully and honorably because you're alive and you're lucky you're alive. And I'm like this free spirit of like, oh, I don't want to write right now. It doesn't feel fun. Um, okay, well, I need a little Juliet, so I know I want to integrate her somehow. I've had the thought, but there hasn't been any like, this is how you do it. This is how I'm going to do it. So it's just been these ideas. Um, but that's the first one that's like, oh, yeah, I I need to tap into her, that little Jennie again
Yeah.
and maybe ask her what she wants, what she needs. So, yeah, thank you. That was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm getting hungry.
Me too. I have to pee.
Okay. We've gone for like, oh my
Two
God.
hours almost.
Yeah, almost 2 hours.
Yeah,
I love you.
I love you too.
I always love our conversations.
Me too. They're awesome.
Have beautiful insights and reflections and questions that are fun.
Ditto.
So, okay.
Okay, go
Have a
eat something.
Oh, where can people book a session? This is a podcast. I forgot. We're not just talking. Where can people go to find you if they want to book a
Uh,
session?
I don't have a website up yet. I have like it's like a Calendly link. I can send it to you and you can link it somewhere if you want.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Perfect.
This is like whatever in YouTube here. So, okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.